A very warm welcome to all our listeners around the world. You're welcome to the Tokunbo Fernandez show, a show that promotes the true life stories of people making a difference around the world. If there's a product or initiative you wish to share, feel free to give us a call on 0788 280 9005. That's 0788 280 9005. Also, take a few seconds to subscribe to our channel and share the video, or also visit our international blog at www.tonyfernandez.co.uk. We have some amazing guests lined up for the rest of the year, making a difference to people's lives. So it's all about your story, our story, and making a difference to people's lives around the world, and also promoting the community initiatives amongst Africans, Caribbeans, and people of all other races around the world. We have an amazing guest in the studio today, here in West Yorkshire. She's a published writer and poet. She's an activist. She has a passion for community initiatives, and she's doing amazing stuff each year. She's also a very good friend. So it's a pleasure to have on the show for the first time, Sheena Hussain. Welcome to the Tony Tokunbo Fernandez show. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me, Tony. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and I'm sure our listeners around the world will want to know a bit about yourself, your background, and what inspires you as a person.
Right, okay. As you heard, I'm Sheena Hussain. I'm a poet. I'm also an essayist. In a former life, I was also a lawyer. I practiced for 8 years as an immigration lawyer. I came out of the profession after having receiving a cancer diagnosis. It changed my life completely. I tried going back, but my heart just wasn't in the legal profession. I pursued poetry, and a lot of people ask me why poetry. So my recovery, which was pretty much about 8 months, and I took to writing. But before I started writing, I connected to my childhood memories. I had a great childhood. So those memories really helped me kind of gain comfort, because my family was kind of scattered everywhere. So not all of them actually knew that I was going through the cancer. So these memories were really warm, and I decided that I should, write these out. And as I started writing them out, I realized that, this wasn't just ordinary writing, this was actually poetry. So it's kind of just come out of nowhere. But I do believe when someone is going through a period of adversity, some kind of, dare I say the word, some kind of magical process is happening. And I think that's what happened. So that's what kind of led me to poetry. So I decided to set up my own poetry business online, and where I kind of offer my services to people who want to have a poem written for their loved ones. That didn't quite take off. So I had to kind of look at other ways of kind of developing the business. So I do a lot of poetry workshops as well for children and adults, just to encourage people to write poetry, in their everyday lives, because I think the spoken word, the written word, is the most powerful thing ever. What inspires me? Lots of things inspire me. I mean, I wear many hats, as you said. I'm a former lawyer, so I've seen a lot of injustices, especially with asylum seekers whom I used to represent. I'm also a carer to my mum, so I know, what a big responsibility being a carer is all about. And I think I gave that more thought, especially when I was being cared by one of my siblings when I was going through the cancer as well. I also run a support group for women here in Bradford, which covers all cancers. It's an all-female support group called Females Can. And sort of like in between, I also, write essays, and I do poetry readings, and I publish books as well. Yeah, so I've just recently published a children's poetry collection, which is my second book. So yeah, all these kind of experiences that I've been having through all these different platforms inspire me immensely, and just what's happening globally as well, I think, inspires me, and injustices as well. I think it's very important to be inspired when an injustice is happening. I've just recently come back from London over the weekend, doing the pro-Palestinian marches, and you know, the atmosphere there was tremendous. So many people marching, you know, to bring justice to the world, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, congratulations, and I'm always proud of the great initiatives that
Thank
you
you.
bring to the community. But it also ties in with my next question. Um, how did your journey with cancer begin? Because that is something which creeps into many people's lives from time to time, suddenly. And how did it change your outlook on life?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was a lawyer, and I was, you know, pretty much happy practicing law. I practiced for 8 years. I can't complain. Financially, I was secure. There were a few challenges in the profession, but perhaps that's, you know, a show for another day. And then suddenly, you know, well, I don't find the lump myself. It's actually a sibling that points out the lump on my neck. It was thyroid cancer, by the way. And, you know, she's the one who kind of spurred me on and said, look, you must go to the doctors and have this lump checked. I don't really like going to the GP unless, you know, I'm at kind of death's door. But I took her advice on this instance, and I went, and, you know, the doctors were great. They made the referral straight away. And I had the checks done. There's different stages, and unfortunately my journey wasn't quite straightforward. I did give a sample to have you know, the lump checked, but unfortunately that sample went astray, so, you know, I had to lodge a complaint on that front. I won't go into, you know, too much detail on that front. So yeah, so eventually, you know, it transpires it is cancer. So that's when, you know, your whole life changes. Ask anyone who's been through cancer and who has been given that, you know, label. It's very big. You know, what do you do with it? But you know, God is great. You know, He gives you strength from somewhere, and if you've got a great family and a great support network, they will really help you get through it. And I think that's how I overcame the cancer diagnosis. I'm also a woman of faith, and I believe faith plays a very important part in life adversities, whether it's, you know, health or anything else. So yes, there were some very deep and meaningful conversations with my Creator, and I believe whether, you know, whether good or bad happens in your life, it's from the Creator. So you can't really, you know, be against that, you know, so to speak. And yeah, I just kind of got on with it, really. And like I said, I did turn to writing, and that's what really helped me kind of keep strong, keep my courage, keep my faith, and not to, you know, fall down that dark abyss where most people will end up, because, you know, they despair. They think cancer is kind of a death sentence, if you like, but it need not be that way. I'm a living example, and I'm sure there's many other people as well whose cancer journeys have been phenomenal in terms of dealing with a diagnosis, and what they go on to do as well. And often I do hear cancer narratives from, you know, various people from different minority backgrounds, and it changes them completely, and they do completely go onto a different path altogether, a bit like myself. You know, I've given up the legal profession, and I'm pursuing this path of, you know, the creative arts and writing, etc., which all kind of helps the healing process. So yes.
And you really touched on my next question, because you've also mentioned about faith. So, right now, because we have lots of listeners listening around the world today, what special advice, based on what you've said just now, would you give our listeners who are either going through cancer or who are going through any form of medical conditions right now, who are feeling in despair?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be from a faith perspective, because there are lots of people, you know, who don't practice a faith, and that's okay. But there must be something in someone's life, and I call it, you know, the foundation. You know, whether it's a foundation that's based on faith, or something else. Hold on to that. It's very important, because I believe that, you know, if you have solid foundations, And if you have kind of stuck to the principles of those foundations, there's no reason why you shouldn't, use those foundations to build upon your courage, your patience, your gratitude, all these things which are essential when you are going through not just cancer, but other life adversities, whether it's a breakup of a marriage, whether it's just coming out of, the lockdown and this pandemic. I mean, look how that has impacted people. A lot of people are suffering silently. There's a lot of mental health issues. So, you need to go back and revisit what was that foundation that you had where you were doing okay, and life was great for you, and you just need to kind of revisit that and build yourself upon that and just keep going, really. That's the only kind of advice that I can impart.
How important do you feel sense of purpose is in the world we live in today? Having a sense of purpose.
Yeah, it's a big question, and a rightful one to ask a poet, I suppose. But I think, a sense of purpose is a question that many of us are always asking. And I think, depending on what stage you are in life, and what adversities come your way, you have to renew that purpose as you go along with whatever life throws at you. But yeah, I do believe there has to be some kind of purpose. It can be small purposes, day-to-day kind of things, or it can be the bigger, purpose. And for me, that bigger purpose is probably one based on faith, that, this life is temporary, and we shouldn't really get too attached to it. And there's going to be another eternal life, and we need to work towards that as well. Yes, we plow, we work hard, and we need to earn an income and live, and all that kind of stuff. But we also will be doing a living on the other side, and it's very important to know how we kind of facilitate that, and hopefully get to that eternal life. So yeah, I think it's very important to have a purpose.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit now about your current initiatives and projects, which I'm really, really proud of.
Yes,
I know you're
thank
involved
you.
in so much poetry competitions. You've been busy in the COVID period as well. And I'm sure our
Yes,
listeners will want to know some of the community initiatives you're currently
yeah.
doing or you're going to be doing in the next 6 months as well.
Yes, I will touch upon those. Thank you, Tony. So yeah, during the pandemic, as a creative artist, I just knew from the outset that I wanted to concentrate on children. And I decided to run a poetry competition, based on the pandemic. I just wanted to see how the children view the pandemic. Often what happens is, I mean, history teaches us this. When you look at World Wars One and Two, we obviously have a lot of narratives from the adults perspective, but not children. So this is why it was very important to document it through the eyes of children. So we ran this competition, and that was successful. Great, we had winners. But I decided, these poems, they're just going to stay on my laptop. We have to do something with them. So I took it upon myself to curate a collection of poetry in a book form. So if you haven't seen this book, there it is. A collection of children's poetry, COVID-19 poems from a pandemic, edited by myself as well this time. And it's a wonderful little book. There's about 23, 24 poems, all to do with the lockdown, the coronavirus. I've also given some bonus poems of mine as well, two in there, which were also published. And I just think it makes a nice little safe keep. We will look back, many years, and we will need something to view. And I think this little gem of a book, it will do that and help us understand what were children going through. So I'm very proud with that. I also run a children's poetry competition, which will be coming up in July. So, children and parents that are listening, keep an eye out for that. That will be running from July till October. It's an annual summer competition for children, and it's a great one to get involved with. And there's a prize fund as well, and we have a presentation in November, and it's in its 4th year now. So I'm really proud of that. I'm still reaching out to schools. It's still proving very problematic to get into schools and to get this competition into schools, because that's my cohort really. I need to reach out to the children. So if there are any schools listening, any head teachers or teachers, please reach out. I'll give you my details towards the end, and you can learn more about the competition and read about it, and look at the previous winners and what we did, and come on board and engage. What else am I doing? I'm also going to be running a new cancer initiative, which is going to be a 6-month program. It's not gone live yet, but yes, you're going to get exclusive rights, Tony, on your show. I might as well show it. So this is a flyer that will be going out very soon. It kicks off in June. It's open to all women in Bradford, all cancers, and it's just a kind of a holistic package that I want to deliver about cancer. I'm not a doctor, neither am I purporting to be one. I'm not a dietitian or any of those kind of things, but I'm just going to be imparting advice from a lived experience. So how I have changed my diet post-cancer, the exercises that I have implemented, which are actually helping me keep fatigue at bay, because ask anybody who's going through cancer, suffering from fatigue is a very big kind of component post-cancer. So I'll be giving all this kind of advice away, and it's up to people if they want to, take it on board. Yes, and I'm also looking forward to introducing creative writing to these wonderful women that I'm going to engage. And we've got lots of things planned for this initiative. And this is with Better Communities Bradford, and it's been sponsored by Sovereign Healthcare. So we're really grateful for these two organizations for giving me the opportunity to run this. And there's also 15 free goodie bags for the first 15 registrations. So yes, I say, yeah, when it goes live, you must book, because I think this initiative is going to be wonderful, and I think it's much needed as well, because often when I go in the community, I hear from women, there's still not a lot of cancer support network available for them. So I'm putting myself out there. So it's a two-way kind of process. So the women have to engage with me and come on board and support this initiative, because that's the way it will work. So yeah.
That's fantastic. You're doing amazing stuff. Now, if people
Thank you, Tony.
want to get in touch with you about your wonderful initiatives, are there any social media handles, your website, Instagram, even contact telephone numbers, emails? How can people reach
Yes.
you?
Yes, of course I can. First of all, my website, which is www.poetrybysheena.com. I usually put most of poetry-related or cancer-related initiatives on there. There's also an email facility that you can email me from there if you wanted to get in touch. And please do, because I'm a very open-minded person. I love engaging with people, so feel free to email. And that goes to the direct email, the business email, which is sheena4076@live.com. There's also a telephone number if you want to call me on 079 351 77562. You're more than welcome to do so. If I don't pick up, it's probably because I'm with my mother. I'm also a carer to her, so I kind of just have to fit in my phone calls as and when I can. The other way of reaching me is via Instagram, and you can, follow me on my Instagram page, and I occasionally put a few initiatives on there. But the best way is probably email and my website. So yeah.
Fantastic. So lovely to catch up with you this morning, and I know I'm going to catch up with you soon. On a very final note, what message do you have for all our listeners around the world today?
I just want to say, keep positive despite what's happening in your lives, in your communities, but look at the bigger picture, look at what's happening globally, and just be grateful for what you have. I just want to finish off on a quote that I was actually connecting with last night, and probably will connect for the rest of the day today. If there are no books which tell us about ourselves, but tell us only about others, that makes you invisible in the world of literature, that is dangerous. And that's by Patricia Grace. And I will leave you with that. Thank you very
That's
much indeed,
amazing.
Tony.
That's so amazing, because
It is.
the self-discovery purpose is such a
Yes.
profound process.
And we just have to carry on with the journey and getting our narratives out there and sharing them. I think it's very important to share your narrative.
That's very powerful, and I believe in that too. And I'm proud of you. And we're
Thank
going
you.
to catch up soon and keep shining.
Yes, we will do. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, and have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Sheena Hussain on the Tokunbo Fernandez show. Catch us same time next week. Take care, and God bless you.